Right, so here we are in the first of our semi-finals. It is blue-red control against white-black control-ish mid-range. I'm not sure what we're calling this. It has 12 creatures in it, but it otherwise kind of resembles the black-white control we've seen a lot. Does crazy things with Brutal Cathar. I mean, it has the Smuggler's Copter in it and Mesmeric Fiends, but it also has Dam and Kaya and some of those favorites. Smuggler's Copter is a no from Garcia Edu. Garcia Edu is our 7-0 player after the Swiss, now repping Invert Polarity. Every time a blue-red player has 3 mana up, I'm essentially convinced they have Invert Polarity. Invert Polarity, but probably pretty darn good in this matchup. There's not much that you cast that you would like to have stolen against you, and quite a few of your spells cost 3 and up. You know, you don't want to ram a Kaya into an Invert Polarity. That's kind of game right there. So yeah, I don't know if that necessarily makes this good for blue-red. It's just one card. But it doesn't hurt. Monumental Henge is kind of a tool against control, I guess, finding you more and more planeswalkers to jam into their counter spells. A bit slow. Just attacking for 1 is probably not where you want to be against control. Everybody making their land drops. And we are going to henge end of turn. I really don't know if you can take this matchup slow. The blue-red player wins eventually by playing a Chrome Host Seed Shark and then casting a bunch of spells, which is okay into Wraths, and presumably then they do it when they have some kind of protection in the form of counter magic. So here is a Seed Shark with, notably, 3 mana up, which would cast Invert Polarity. If you have removal, you probably jam it, because, I don't know, we're just henging. I mean, I don't know, if you have 7 historic, what does it fetch? Historic cards? Historic cards in hand. Maybe you're all good against the Chrome Host Sea Shark, I don't know. So we are jamming Kaya into this 3 open mana. Is this the Invert Polarity heard around the world? It is. Makes a 3/3 token. Probably going to go with tails for the flip. That's the correct strategy. Oh no, they go for heads, but it pays off. So that's brutal. Did they have some follow-up that they were trying to sneak in? A Brutal Cathar that removes the Seed Shark for now. Doesn't seem as good as stealing a Kaya. And trouble. I wonder if they'd sequenced that the other way around, if they'd have gone for the Invert Polarity, and if it would have been better or not. I can't actually think through it, it's too complicated, but but I do know stealing a Kaya is good. Gets a removal spell out of the hand. Maybe this is, oh, now we're going to Wrath the board, returning Seed Shark to play, discharge to hand, has a Kaya, has a 3/3, 1 card in hand for that 1-gamer. Maybe they can do something with Shambling Vent, attacking into Kaya, but there is potentially a 3/3 to block. They discard an ill-timed explosion and a repeal. Everybody dies. Seed Shark comes back. Yeah, I mean, you know, getting a Kaya Invert Polarity is like a kind of classic moment of this matchup, probably. So, okay, our 1 card in hand is so unimpressive with main phase Monumental Henging and conceding. Fair enough. Game 1 in the books. Just going to peek at the other semi-final and see if I can see anything happening there while we wait for them to sideboard. I think we're just in game 1. Yeah, 0-0 in game 1. There's the Thalia in play, but there's also a Sapphire Medallion in play. And which one has played Lonely Sandbar as their 3rd land? Probably not a sign of strength. So that one game one might be going human's way, but still early. Have these folks finished sideboarding? They have not. And there we go. Game 2, blue-red control against white-black control-ish. White-black on the play, looking to, I guess, mesmeric fiend away any invert polarities or wraths, and then deploy the more powerful cards. The Kaya is probably the key one that you would love to have and hate to have invert polarity as in game 1. Here's the fiend. Fiend shows an ill-timed explosion which is taken, attune the narrative, a Niv Mizzet, 6-drop, and a bunch of lands. So pretty weak hand, maybe. I'm going to him. Nope, we're going to Smuggler's Copter. Tune the narrative in response. So the known hand is just a Shivan Reef, an Island, a Sulphur Falls, and a 6-drop Niv Mizzet. There's the island. So could get in with the Copter here, yeah. Decides 3 damage of loot is better than 1 damage. I can see that math. They have missed their 3rd land on 3, and I guess they're digging here for 3rd land on 4, perhaps. I mean, it also just makes sense. Discards a 4-drop. And cast him, but I guess is not going to make the land drop. Are we invert polarity? No, we're forbidding no buyback. Okay, so hand is, well, there's the soft fall. So hand is Shiva, oh no, Shivan Reef is also out. Oh, here's a Seed Shark. So we've just decided you've shown weakness by not making a 3rd land drop on turn 3 and turn 4. I think I can deploy my Seed Shark and start to cause havoc. However, we do make the land drop, and we do have a 3-mana answer to the Seed Shark, and suddenly things look pretty good for black-white, honestly. I mean, we're building to this turn 6 Niv Mizzet, but I don't really know that turn 6 Niv Mizzet is that good. Galvanic Discharge helps a lot. Black-white's board, pretty unimpressive without the Copter. Does make a 5th land drop turn 5 blue-red. 3 cards. The only known one is Niv Mizzet, I believe. Cabal. It's not amazing for blue-red to see. Okay, so Effect of Fiction in response. Save the drain for 2. Why not? Oh, so they're really hating the Seed Shark and putting it in a pile on its own. So they're allowing them the land for the Niv Mizzet. Is that sort of some kind of weird kind of bait, saying, yeah, make your Niv Mizzet, well, they need a 4th land to abstruse appropriation it. Are we tapping out for Niv Mizzet, or are we doing something funkier? Looks like we're tapping out for Niv Mizzet. So really needs a 3-mana answer, or, 4th land abstruse. Okay, do have 4th land. That's pretty real. Oh, Fiend is not what we were dreaming of when we played the 4th land. Maybe Dam on the Niv Mizzet is okay. Takes the Wrath. Does Dam the Niv Mizzet. Okay, so we saw... What did we siege now? Burst Lightning, Mountain, Tune the Narrative, Ill-Timed Explosion. Oh, he uses the 1 damage to kill one of the fiends. Makes sense. So I think there's a Burst Lightning in hand for sure. And I'm not quite sure if there's an Ill-Timed Explosion or not, because the Magic Gathering UI is too complicated for me. So we're going to kick the Burst Lightning at Kambal. We're that afraid of Kambal's Drain. And, we're down to 10 here. And then it's not totally clear to me what the one known card in hand that came back off the Fiend is. Here's Kaya, into 2 mana, does have the Ether Spike. That could have been game, but instead we just have a 1/1. 2 action cards in hand, no 5th land. Plays the tune, which I think was known. The Burst Lightning's gone. I think this mountain might be in play. Not sure about this Rest of Spire. There's the Rest of Spire, and this. So, not sure if there's a known card in hand. Rest of Spire blocks the 1/1, doesn't block the Shambling Vent. Presumably there's something better to do than Shambling Vent activate. Vindicate a land. Interesting. Just to allow the attack for 1. Opponent goes to 8. I think if I had a counterspell, I would not have used it there, so I don't think that tells us too much about Garcia Edu's hand. You even have another Rest of Spire. So here's Ill-Timed Explosion, which I think maybe was known from all the fiending that happened earlier, but not sure. It's just to kill a 1/1, but also, I guess, some card selection, looking for meaningful counter spells. Or discards a Pithing Needle and the Mountain seem pretty bad here. And Pithing Needle turns off Shambling Vent, but you're on 8, not 2. Here's a Seed Shark with no protection, presumably. So 2 or 3 action cards for that one gamer, having missed a bunch of land drops. Do we have another Vindicate? I mean, we did spend that other Vindicate pretty freely. No, Smuggler's Copter. And Dam on the Sea Shark, very good. So Garcia Edu not able to turn the corner here. 3 cards in hand though, plenty of mana. Just looking for maybe, 3 Seed Sharks in the bin is interesting, and a Niv Mizzet. I mean, if we kill another Seed Shark, is this deck reduced to trying to kill you with Restless Spire? I don't know if there's anything else that attacks and blocks in the deck, but presumably the third. Oh, a Hymn. So, Vert Polarity here, pretty good. Other things, less so. Okay. Chooses Tails and 1. Wow. Mixing heads and tails here to great success. Card in hand was Abstruse Appropriation, so that was just fundamentally brutal. Invert polarity there. And now we try and win with Rest of Spire somehow through a Shambling Vent, so presumably we have some way to kill Shambling Vent in these 4 cards in hand. Yeah, just another Rest of Spire. The win cons are assembled. Yeah, so we are going to try, 2 with life gain versus 4. It's all much of a muchness. But there's probably an answer here. Kicked Burst Lightning, great. So black-white just out. I mean, there's a Smuggler's Copter ready to go if you draw a creature. But otherwise, out of ideas. It's a pretty slow road. It's 5-turn clock. Gives you scrying. Scry's bottom. Scry's bottom again. Just presumably only interested in Chrome Host, Seed Shark, Dig Through Time, or I don't know what else would be interesting. Oh, maybe the Elder Dragon War. So you can read ahead, just make a 4/4. So just trying to close it out before opponent draws. I mean, Kaya would be great here. Clearly no defenses from blue-red with just 1 mana open. But it's not slam, whatever it is. Don't know what that means necessarily. If it was a removal spell, you probably would have done it before they could untap and draw a counter. If it was...
Settle the Wreckage?
Settle the Wreckage. Obviously. the second greatest card in the history of Magic the Gathering after Brave the Elements. I mean, it's something. It's settle the wreckage. Well, this last remaining card has to be a counterspell, or we are back to the Stone Age on both sides. So I guess Elder Dragon War, however many Elder Dragon Wars there are, remain in the deck as win cons, as well as... And we're not going to kick 4 Burst Lightnings. I don't know how many Restless Spires there are. I mean, we may literally be running Blue-Red out of win cons if we can just snag the last Seed Shark. Agonizing Remorse.
Torrential Gearhulks in these builds before.
Oh, yeah, it could be. I should check the deck list, really, before I start saying we're going to run them out of... You know, maybe there's a lot of Stormkirk Nobles that we just haven't drawn yet. Probably not. So win cons, we have 2 Malcolm, 4 Seed Shark, 1 Elder Dragon War. So there are, and Restless Spires, there are 4. Okay, so, and there is 1 in fact. So several win cons left in the deck. We made a Kambal, but we didn't attack with Copter. Is that right? Okay. Now we are going to do the thing with the Helicopter of Death, which malfunctioned in Scryfall's bulk data this morning and caused the metagame page to break on the day of the 500. Thanks. Down 5, Kambal in play, most win cons removed from deck, although not enough to cause panic. Attacking for the Scry is, I mean, just completely reasonable, I guess. Sees something that they do not like, bottoms it. 2 cards in hand, 1 card for black-white, no idea what that is, not a land presumably. Although, no real harm in holding an untapped land, I guess.
If this Copter hits here, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, the only thing they could do is find a Seed Shark and a Malcolm and double block it or something. I don't know. Oh no, yeah, that does work. I don't know. Yeah, it's this has been an interesting game. I would have said Blue-Red was miles ahead at one point, just miles. And then they invert polarity that him. It felt like game. And we'll just him the last 2 cards from their hand, which are an island and a Shivan Reef. Certainly not many lands in the remaining 20 cards in the Blue-Red deck, but it does not matter, for they are dead. Match tied 1-1. Okay. Well, that's all to play for, I guess. Has the other semi-final finished? Looks like maybe yes. See if we can get a result there. Clicking around and gathering almost at random. It was 2-0 to the Watchwander, who, if he's listening, has not reported. Not super important in top 4. Not holding up 65 people. Okay, so this is to play 3-time Penny Dreadful 500 winner, the Watchwander, on known best deck against everything except the other good decks. High Tide. Presumably would be moderately confident playing either of these decks. Black-White has only sideboard cards and like the thinnest hope. I mean, there's no aggro draw that wins, right? Oh, Mesmeric Fiends into hymns and stuff. Yeah, no, it's not a Beyond Hopeless.
They definitely, it's like Orzhov Control, but better into Tide.
Yeah. I mean, I'd much rather have a Fiend than a 6-mana Elspeth or whatever, right? So it's better than Orzhov Control, but not exactly tooled to crush it either. And then Blue-Red is the kind of control deck that Tide kind of preys on, it has enough time to sculpt the perfect hand, doesn't care about a counter spell or 2, turnabouts you on your end step, and now you've got to have 2 counter spells, etc.
It is pretty free for Tide, I think. I think the only way it wins is by drawing 1 million copies of the Canesay.
Yeah, I mean, presumably you can have a clunky-ish draw. They can counter the first tide. They can make a seed shark and dig through time, and suddenly it's like a lot harder than it theoretically should be. But it needs kind of both, both a good draw from them and a bad draw from you or something. I don't know.
And they can actually steal it with like invert polarity on Sapphire.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, and suddenly they can deploy everything faster, and you don't have a cost reducer. And yeah, I mean, this is why we play the games. We abstrusing on the search for Azcanta end of turn, but it is not going to resolve. Oh, invert polarity wants to lose the flip, but unable to do anything but lose the flip. Oh, they can change the target to the pithing needle. Yeah, and that's what they do. Okay, yeah, so there kind of wasn't a way to lose your search for Azcanta there, but you did possibly have to give them a pithing needle strange card. Okay, so now we're talking. Search for Azcanta down. Oh, did not play it out though. You can play it right away, right? It's not like plotted or something. Oh, you can only spend colorless mana as any color, not any mana as any color.
They could have tapped differently though to play it.
Yep, yeah. Maybe I don't know. Possibly just a misstep. How good is Search for Azcanta for that one game? It's pretty good. I guess it doesn't really find so many cards in
really
their deck.
It's awkward to like repeal.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you just want it out of the game. Maybe you don't even want to play it. So here's Kaya, who is a 4-mana permanent with this pithing needle out, and we are going to play Search. We're not going to play Search. We're thinking about playing Search. We're going for it. We're not going for it. Yeah, I mean, do you keep yeah, you do keep repealing in this matchup because, of course, there's the fiends and things that you might really, really want to repeal. So it's a little risky to play it out.
It gives you selection, and it still can turn into a land that you can tap.
I think if you have the Search for Azcanta and it doesn't get repealed, it's great, for sure. The question is like, is it worth the risk of giving it back to them? But it probably is. I don't know. So this.
I haven't seen like.
So Garcia Edu has now won four flips in this semi-final have been won by Garcia Edu, and we're seeing now one of the ways in which he 7-0'd the Swiss, which is to say, he has a lucky coin. Here's a Lost Legacy on what? Seed Shark? Oh,
it's probably still invert polarity.
It's pretty good. Okay, are we going to go 5 for 5? Because that is, yes!
Yes.
5 for 5 in the invert
And it's
polarity
just
flip.
not beatable if they win like every flip.
Yes, it's. I mean, I don't know how exciting it is to flip a Lost Legacy. We're just going to name Abstruse Appropriation, which I think shows, the power of Lost Legacy, which is to say it doesn't really have any. I mean, I'm sure, if you're removing your cards that are terrible in the matchup, you just put in whatever might help.
3.125 is the percentage of 5 in a row.
So we really need a 6th before we can accuse Garcia Edu of being lucky.
Lost Legacy is really only bad because they've already won. Like if Kaio was still alive, it would be really good.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah.
But they kind of just don't have good cards, the Orzhov player.
I mean, they're kind of, well, I mean, here's a card that caused quite a lot of pain last time around. There's only 2 cards in hand for blue-red and no visible win con, just a 2/1 man land. So presumably any kind of counter would have been deployed against Kambal. And we are now rocking the Search. We have 4 cards in our graveyard. Okay, but here's the Seed Shark. Is there a dig through time to, really put the screws on? I mean, 20 life is plenty to play with a Kambal around. I mean, it adds up, but it doesn't add up insanely. You know, you don't just die in one turn because you cast 2 spells or something. Is this a dig? Looks like maybe. Yeah, it's a dig. So now we have a 8/8 we can activate for 2 mana, and the choice of 2 spells, one of which will be a removal spell for Kambal and one of which will be a counter spell. And we are going to the final, maybe. Unless they saw 7 lands of their dig or something.
What's the game score?
It's 1-1. Is it 1-1? Been watching a lot of Magic. It is 1-1, yeah. Okay, well, who needs an 8/8 when you can have a 5/5? That's the philosophy.
And they didn't have a removal spell.
Yeah, they didn't kill Kambal. If you had a dam here, would you untap and dam? You just die to the 8/8, don't you? Monumental Henge activation, presumably, coming up.
Elspeth could take care of.
I
his
don't
visit.
think this deck has the 6 mana Elspeth. It's a little more mid-rangey than some of the... Maybe in the board? Let me check. Player's name is...
Elspeth could just die to the shark.
Most things, including player, look like they might die to the 8/8. No Elspeth of any stripe anywhere in the 75 for black-white. Fiend down.
That was not very good.
Barely knew him, honestly. Barely knew him. Just here for a brief moment. I was mostly looking at a deck list for the duration of that Mesmeric Fiend's life.
I think this game is over.
Attacking for 15. Settle the wreckage. A possibility. Oh, we're only attacking for 8. Chickened out of getting settled. Oh, we are blocking at this juncture. So we have Dam, and we're just hoping...
No, that may be like one of the only outs here.
I mean, we're definitely going to 10 there if, you know, Kambal is our plan or whatever, right? So we're putting a 4/4 on layaway here because we probably don't have the counter spell. It also lets us do more damage. It also lets us card select into a counter spell possibly, and you know, it's insurance against Dam because we'll have a 4/4 and a
Figures
hitching block.
give.
This Search for its Counter is going to flip. Is there anything so they can actually look? Oh wait, they can't activate it because it costs blue.
No, but
Damn
You
it!
can always choose not to flip it.
Yeah, they'll just not flip it. So all it is a, you know, one of those look at your top card of the library thinking of upkeep cards that they made millions of over the years. Sultai Ascendancy, I want to say. I don't know. It is not anyway the card that it normally is in a control deck. But it did ditch an Isolated Chapel, which was definitely not going to be the ticket here. So this Dam, we got some Dams. No, we got Agonizing Remorse, which honestly might have been better. Or maybe this is paving the way for Dam. Paving the way for Dam here. Paving the way for Dam. Going to 40.
Look at their hand, take the only counter spell they cast. Dam draws a counter spell in response.
You're just mean. We're tuning the narrative here, which is interesting. I don't know if that's better than just letting... Well, I suppose if tune the narrative is... I don't know. They have Galvanic Discharge, Burst Lightning, Abrade, a Chrome Host, Seed Shark, and Mountain and Restless Spire.
it looks like lethal next turn if they dam.
And they... it's not going well. I didn't say it was going well. But they have cleared the way for Settle the Wreckage here, which does 1 damage to them. And draws the opponent a card. And probably isn't good enough.
Be a counter spell.
Yeah, probably isn't good enough. And they'd be facing 4 Power of Man lands. I mean, the backs... Oh! We are playing into this Settle the Wreckage, and or we have drawn an answer for it.
Or turn up attacking with like Niv Mizzet.
No, we just so presumably there's a counter spell because we didn't attack with Niv Mizzet in the Sea Shark on an earlier turn.
Yeah.
So
So
we're
there must
feeling
be a counter
fairly
spell.
confident that we can beat Settle. Here is Settle! Come on, baby!
Well, they'll just draw it.
Invert Polarity, no good here, but Ether Spike, pretty darn good, and that is game. Blue-Ray Control plays High Tide in the final. Back momentarily.